They say the void is empty. That it is silence incarnate, the final dark between galaxies, where even the screams of dying stars fade into nothing. But those who say that have never been close enough to hear it breathe. Her name was Elira Miles, a xenolinguist from the outposts of Mars' third lunar colony, daughter of a failed merchant and a stargazer mother. She wasn't trained for war. She wasn't meant for legend. But legends don't always wait for permission. Elira spent her early years decoding alien dialects and subharmonic languages embedded in the ruins of extinct civilizations. The galaxy had long since been mapped, its treasures unearthed by greedy syndicates and sterile science ships. But Elira believed there was still something beneath the layers, a voice no one had learned to hear. Then came the anomaly. A void rift, discovered on the edge of observable space, beyond the helix veil, past the gravitational collapse fields, where matter itself refused to obey physics. They called it the Mouth of God, a name born not from reverence but from fear. Ships sent near it vanished. Drones malfunctioned. Entire fleets warped and returned days later with no crew, their data cores wiped clean, hulls etched with symbols unknown to any known species. The Galactic Senate declared it off-limits. Elira volunteered. Not as a soldier. Not even as a scientist. But as a listener. She believed the symbols were language. That the rift was not a threat, but a message. They gave her a small craft, the SS Murmur, barely shielded, barely sane. She took no weapons, only a symphonic recorder, neural translators, and the oldest book she owned, a copy of the Myth of Echo, printed on synthetic papyrus. When she reached the event horizon, she sent her last transmission. I will speak first. And I will listen last. Then, the murmur vanished into the void. Time fractured. Inside the rift, the concept of duration melted. Elira felt years pass in seconds, or maybe seconds in centuries. Her instruments failed instantly. Gravity shifted directions like a heartbeat. Light twisted. Space folded in on itself. But beneath it all, she heard it. A hum. Not mechanical. Not natural. But intentional. A melody without source, vibrating not through air but through thought. She followed it. Words formed, not in sound, but in meaning. A language of will. The void was not empty. It was alive. And it was lonely. Elira spoke back. Not in words. In memory. In feeling. She sang her childhood lullaby. She remembered the taste of Martian honey. The cold sting of heartbreak. The warmth of a mother's embrace. She gave it herself. And the void responded. Her ship dissolved, not destroyed but absorbed. She felt her mind stretched, tested, rewritten. Her thoughts were no longer only hers. The void poured itself into her. And in return, she poured into it. They did not merge. They touched. And that was enough. When Elira returned, if it could be called returning, she was no longer as she had been. The SS Murmur reappeared near the Saturn Gate Array, 17 years after it had vanished. Elira was alone. No aging. No scars. But her eyes held a depth that turned even battle-hardened admirals silent. Her voice, when she spoke, carried resonance that vibrated through matter. She didn't explain much. Only this. It was waiting for someone to answer. That was all. It was never a mouth of God. It was an ear. Galactic science was overturned. From her memories, researchers developed technologies decades ahead of anything known. Energy drawn from folded silence, communication through dimensional empathy, shielding woven from harmonic resistance. But more terrifying was what Elira became. She could hear everything. Thoughts. Echoes. The last breath of dying stars. She could silence weapons mid-fire. She could make machines weep. Entire cultures began to revere her as an oracle, a bridge between the known and the unknowable. But Elira refused worship. She warned of hubris. Because the void had spoken to her, yes. But it had also shown her others. Predators. Not evil. Just hungrier. Watching the galaxies spin like fish in a tank, waiting for the walls to crack. Elira began to travel. Alone. Quietly. She visited fault lines in spacetime. Places where reality thinned. She sealed them with song. With memory. With stories. Each time, it took more of her. By her 100th year, she no longer slept. Her skin flickered with cosmic static. Her voice bent light. She was no longer fully human. And still she walked. On her final recorded visit, she stood on the edge of the vast tier, a rip forming near the Andromeda Drift. Dozens of empires watched via long-range probes. She sang into the rift. And it closed. But Elira did not remain. She dissolved into stardust, her body becoming a cloud of harmonic resonance, carried by solar winds across parsecs. And where her echoes land, silence deepens. Calm returns. Children dream in patterns unknown to their ancestors. Machines begin to hum lullabies without cause. The void remembers her. And it listens still. Because one woman reached into the dark. And the dark touched back. And neither were ever the same again.